Hey guys, so last few activities that I showed you to work on those chronically stiff, stubborn shoulders that you've got, that focused more on you reaching forward and away from your bodies, even a little bit overhead with that wall walk. But even though that may open up some shoulder mobility for plenty of you, it may not result in you being able to really get your arm fully unlocked overhead, as comfortable as you want, as you need to. And it's probably not going to result in you being able to get into a rack position with your shoulders. Since we're only working the arms forward and slightly above, we got to go into that range. So what I'm going to show you is a really simple and safe and gentle way to work on opening up your chest and your shoulders, to get your arms behind you, to get it so that they can open up and you can get that full range with a really low risk of jamming some shoulders that may be a bit fussy. So what it's going to be is here on the ground, and you're just going to have your arms back in order to hold you up. And key is to just sort of find a position which you can kind of relax into. And you can even let the shoulders sag. That's a nice way to find where it's snug. The width of the hands is different for every torso, so just find what's kind of comfortable and you got some wiggle room. The distance behind you is going to be different for each torso as well, but what we're going for is trying to get it so that your hand can be right underneath your shoulder and you can have this vertical drive into the ground. So watch out for going too far back. Hand position can make a difference, whether it's back, whether it's there or to the side. For a lot of tight shoulders, it can be really hard to go all the way there where it's very open. And this tends to, in a tight shoulder girdle, drive a little bit more of that, shoulders going forward. So although it's not necessary, a safe way or a fail-safe way to do it would be just have your hands facing on out. You're welcome to turn back if you find that that gives you a bit more aggressive engagement with what we're going to do. So hands facing out. And first thing you're going to do is you're going to reach your shoulders down and back and try to pinch your shoulder blades. What we're going for is trying to get your collarbones, your shoulder blades, your shoulder sockets to reach in the same direction as your arms, which is down and a little behind you. So you're going to reach your shoulders down, that's your body going up, and pinch them on back. Now I got my legs out in front of me and I've got one crossed over the other. This is helpful to cross them instead of having them splayed. It just kind of locks your pelvis in. And I would encourage you to favor crossing your right over your left, because internally things aren't the same and it does affect your shoulders. And there's a bias in a human being for it to be a little easier to reach out with your left and have your right under you. And for most people, it's a little easier to cross your left over your right. So favor right over left. You pinch your shoulders down and back. You're trying to feel them kind of engage those muscles back there. We're going for low traps, not way up in your neck. And holding that, you then take a breath in. Feel a big stretch in the front of your chest. That's what we're going for. And then out. You do a bunch of breaths, maybe 4 or 5. And then out. As you repeat this, you'll feel your chest open up more and more. What you also may feel is that your shoulder blades can sneak further and further back as you're doing that. That's because the shape of your chest wall is changing, as ideally it should, as you're reaching your arms and back and you're going in the right direction. For some of you, it's going to be really hard to get those shoulder blades to engage. You'll reach back, but you don't feel them really working. In that case, just bend your elbows, feel a bit of your triceps working, and if you get that, you may immediately begin to feel your shoulder blades kicking in. Or if you only feel your triceps, well, you're going in the right direction. As long as you feel tight in the front of your chest, and when you breathe in, that tightness intensifies, then you're working on what you need to work on, which is your chest being able to expand, allowing your shoulders to reach back so you can pull your arms behind you, and you can reach your arms fully overhead. This is a lot better than just trying to do a bunch of rows, because in those of us that have a hard time opening our chest and bringing our shoulders back, doing a bunch of rowing, pulling movements tends to just make a neck tighter, a back tighter, and shoulders tighter, since we can't really get into that position. Eventually, rows are great, but for a while, it's going to be a lot easier to get into these places by posting into them, getting the chest to open on up by doing more pressing movements before you can get onto a pull. So once this gets a little easy and you find it's not hard, you intensify it by doing what's called kind of like a crab pose. And I've gone through this sort of activity before. It's more of a butt hover than going up really high. And this just makes it so you're holding your full weight up, or at least a good chunk of it. Shoulders down and back, feeling them kick on in. Get a stretch in the front of your chest. Hold for a few reps. And then if you find that's getting easy, you can give yourself something to do while you're hanging out by just repping on out, alternating leg, lifting on up. That really translates to these shoulders opening up when you're walking, running, but it's also a way for you to sort of quantify and track your progress as you're trying to get your chest to open up more, shoulders to be able to reach further back so you can do some of the fun stuff, carrying a barbell here, getting a heavy weight overhead, being able to scratch your back without pain or problem. So regardless, try that on out. Ask any questions if you got them. Either way, I hope it was helpful and I hope you're well.